Take a step back and consider this. If leadership is supposed to elevate the wise and the capable, why do we so often see power fall into the hands of narcissists, liars, and even outright fools? Why is it that the very people we expect to guide us with reason and integrity are replaced by those who thrive on arrogance, manipulation, and reckless confidence? Look at the world around you. How many leaders speak with calm thoughtfulness, and how many shout with absolute certainty even when they're wrong? How many are grounded in truth, and how many bend reality to fit their ambition? How many listen with humility, and how many dominate with ego and spectacle? Perhaps leadership does not honor virtue at all. Perhaps it rewards something else entirely: performance. What if those who rise are not the wisest, but the ones who know how to look the part? What if the stage of power was never built for truth, but for appearances? More than 5 centuries ago, Niccolò Machiavelli shattered the illusion that rulers succeed by virtue alone. In The Prince, he described power not as a reward for honesty or goodness, but as a ruthless contest where deception, boldness, and image often outweigh wisdom or justice. And here's the striking part. Modern psychology echoes Machiavelli's vision. Studies show that narcissists are more likely to be chosen as leaders, that overconfident liars are often judged as more competent than cautious truth-tellers, that people will follow the charismatic fool who sounds certain before they trust the quiet thinker who hesitates. Stay with me until the end, because once we uncover Machiavelli's perspective on why leadership rewards narcissists, liars, and fools, you'll never look at politics, business, or even your workplace in the same way again. Power is not what we imagine it to be. It is a stage, and the actors who succeed are not always the most qualified, but the most convincing. Before we dive deeper, a quick request. If you value depth over distraction, wisdom over empty slogans, and philosophy that dares to challenge illusions, then take a second to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, in your own experience, do you think leadership favors the wise or the pretenders? Your insight could spark the reflection someone else has been waiting for. Together, let's create a space for genuine thinkers in a world that often rewards the opposite.
Now, let's dive in. To understand why Machiavelli believed leadership rewards narcissists, liars, and fools, we need to step into his world, Renaissance Italy. Imagine Florence in the early 1500s. City-states are locked in endless rivalries. The Pope himself is a political player, more warlord than spiritual guide. France, Spain, and the Holy Roman Empire fight for dominance over Italy's fragmented lands. Betrayals, conspiracies, and assassinations are not the exception, they are daily business. In this world, the naive ruler does not last. A prince who clings to virtue alone is quickly destroyed by rivals who lie, manipulate, or strike first. To survive, leaders must be cunning, calculating, and willing to play the part of virtue while practicing the opposite in secret. It was in this brutal theater of politics that Niccolò Machiavelli wrote The Prince in 1513. He had been exiled, tortured, and cast out of Florentine politics. But from the margins, he observed power with cold precision. What he saw was not noble kings or virtuous republics. It was a battlefield where appearances were more important than reality. Machiavelli dared to say what no philosopher before him had admitted so bluntly. Rulers are not rewarded for honesty, but for effectiveness. For him, power is not about being good. It is about appearing good while doing whatever is necessary to survive and win. He wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good, and to use this knowledge, or not use it, according to necessity." Think about the implications of that. It's not that leaders should always be liars, narcissists, or deceivers, but that the system itself rewards those willing to bend virtue for results. In a world full of predators, the leader who refuses to play the same game becomes prey. This is where narcissists have the edge. They project certainty, charm, and authority, even when empty inside. They instinctively understand the stage of power. And because people judge leaders not by truth, but by appearances, the narcissist often looks like the strongest choice. This is where liars gain advantage. They can bend reality to their ambitions, shaping narratives that make them look indispensable. As long as the lie is convincing, the system rewards it. And this is where fools, specifically bold, overconfident fools, find unexpected success. Their simplicity comes across as clarity. Their rashness looks like decisiveness. Their lack of doubt convinces people they must know something others don't. In Machiavelli's Florence, the cautious and the virtuous rarely survived. The bold pretender often did. And 5 centuries later, the world hasn't changed as much as we like to think. Let's begin with narcissists. Why are people with inflated egos so often chosen to lead? The answer lies in psychology. Humans are not perfect judges of competence. We are swayed by signals. And one of the strongest signals we trust is confidence. A narcissist walks into a room with unshakable self-belief. They speak with authority, dominate the conversation, and project the sense that they were born to lead. Even when they exaggerate their skills or achievements, people interpret that boldness as competence. Researchers have found that in group settings, narcissists are more likely to be seen as natural leaders, even when their actual performance is no better or worse than others. Their charisma blinds us. Their self-promotion convinces us. Their lack of doubt reassures us. Machiavelli would not have been surprised. He knew that appearances matter more than reality. A prince who seems strong is often more effective than one who actually is. A leader who radiates certainty commands loyalty, even if the foundation beneath that certainty is hollow. The tragedy, of course, is what happens after. Once in power, narcissistic leaders often prioritize their own ego over the collective good. They surround themselves with flatterers, silence critics, and make reckless decisions to protect their image. What earned them power, confidence and self-promotion, becomes what corrupts their rule. But the cycle repeats, because at the moment of choosing leaders, societies reward the illusion of strength over the substance of wisdom. If narcissists rise through confidence, liars rise through narrative. People crave stories. They want to believe in visions of the future, promises of prosperity, or warnings of danger. A skilled liar knows how to craft these narratives, bending truth to fit their ambitions. Think about it. How many leaders win elections or corporate promotions by telling the truth exactly as it is? Rarely. More often they exaggerate, manipulate, or selectively present facts. They craft a story that makes them look indispensable, and as long as the story is convincing, people follow it. Machiavelli warned that rulers cannot always keep their word because circumstances change and enemies are always plotting. A prince, he argued, must know how to lie when necessary, and more importantly, how to lie convincingly. Modern politics is filled with this Machiavellian lesson. Leaders promise what they cannot deliver. They present victories while hiding failures. They use language not to reflect reality, but to reshape it. And too often, people reward them for it, because the comforting lie is easier to accept than the painful truth. This is not just a political problem. In business, too, charismatic founders exaggerate their company's success to attract investors. In organizations, employees who boast often outshine quiet workers who deliver results. The liar who masters the performance of success climbs higher than the honest worker who quietly achieves it. The irony is cool. Honesty, the very trait we claim to value in leaders, often becomes a liability in systems where perception rules over reality. Now comes the most surprising part. Fools. How can incompetence or stupidity ever be rewarded with leadership? The answer lies in the strange way humans perceive confidence and simplicity. Complex problems are difficult to explain. Wise people hesitate, showing caution and doubt. They say, "It depends," or "The truth is complicated." Meanwhile, the fool cuts through complexity with simple, absolute answers. Here's the solution. Trust me. Who sounds more convincing? For many people, the bold simplicity of the fool is more appealing than the cautious wisdom of the thinker. Simplicity feels like clarity. Certainty feels like strength. Machiavelli would not have been shocked. He knew that people often prefer the appearance of decisiveness to the substance of wisdom. A prince who projects certainty, even foolish certainty, inspires more loyalty than one who admits doubt. This is why history is filled with reckless leaders who marched nations into disasters, while cautious advisors were ignored. The fool's boldness looked like courage. The thinker's caution looked like weakness. It is a sobering truth. Sometimes the very traits that make someone unfit to rule are the ones that get them into power in the first place.
Machiavelli insisted that rulers must master deception. Not just lying to others, but learning how to wear masks so convincingly that the mask becomes their second nature. "Everyone sees what you appear to be," he wrote. "Few experience what you really are." This is the essence of leadership in his world. Appearances over substance. A ruler who openly admits flaws loses authority. But one who projects unwavering confidence, regardless of inner doubt, commands loyalty. Modern psychology deepens this insight. Deception is powerful, but self-deception is even stronger. Leaders who convince themselves of their own myths project them with total conviction. The liar who half believes his own lies persuades more effectively than the one who knows he's faking it. Think of the startup founder who believes her company is destined to change the world even when the numbers don't add up. Her conviction inspires investors, employees, and customers. Or the political leader who insists his vision is the only path forward. His self-belief makes others believe too. In a sense, leadership doesn't just reward liars, it rewards those who blur the line between truth and fiction so completely that they can no longer tell the difference. Machiavelli knew this instinctively. The effective leader is an actor who becomes the role. The mask is not removed at night, it fuses with the face. What Machiavelli revealed with brutal honesty has echoes throughout the history of philosophy. Plato, centuries before, argued that philosophers, the lovers of wisdom, should rule. He distrusted the crowd, warning that democracy often elevates demagogues who flatter rather than guide. In his metaphor of the ship of state, the wise navigator is ignored, while the loud, persuasive sailors fight to seize the wheel. Does that not sound familiar? Aristotle, more practical, wrote that the character of leaders shapes the fate of cities. Yet he too admitted that people are often swayed by appearances. He recognized rhetoric, the art of persuasion, as dangerous when used without virtue. Machiavelli broke from both. Where Plato and Aristotle dreamed of virtue guiding politics, Machiavelli accepted the world as it was,
a theater of power where deception often wins. Centuries later, Nietzsche would echo this cynicism in a darker form. He wrote of the will to power, the driving force of life itself. For Nietzsche, greatness often required breaking free from conventional morality. Could it be that the narcissist, the liar, and the fool are not accidents of history, but expressions of this deeper will? That power itself selects for those bold enough to seize it, regardless of virtue. Whether we side with Plato's dream of philosopher kings, Aristotle's hope for character, or Machiavelli's ruthless realism, the paradox remains. The qualities that help leaders rise are not the qualities that help societies thrive. Here lies the heart of the problem. The traits that get people into leadership, confidence, bold promises, certainty, charisma, are not the same traits that make them good leaders once they're in power. In fact, they can be the opposite. The leader who promises too much sets himself up for failure. The one who never doubts makes reckless choices. The one obsessed with image neglects substance. Machiavelli understood this paradox. He didn't argue that rulers should be moral saints, but he knew they must balance appearances with effectiveness. A prince who relies only on lies eventually loses trust. A fool who marches boldly into disaster cannot hold power for long. Yet our systems rarely correct for this paradox. Elections, promotions, and public opinion often reward the performance of leadership more than the practice of it. By the time the mask cracks, it's often too late. The damage has already been done. This is why history is littered with leaders who rose like meteors and fell into disgrace. They were brilliant at seizing power, but incompetent at using it wisely. We don't need to stay in the past to see Machiavelli's lessons alive today. Look around, and the pattern is everywhere. In politics, charismatic populists promise easy solutions to complex problems. Their certainty captivates millions, even as their policies falter. In democracies, those who tell people what they want to hear often defeat those who speak hard truths. In corporations, overconfident CEOs are celebrated as visionaries. They present bold visions, attract billions in investment, and inspire loyalty. Sometimes it works, but often we discover that the vision was smoke and mirrors, propped up by exaggeration or outright fraud. Even in small organizations, schools, churches, local clubs, the pattern repeats. The loud, charismatic figure often becomes the leader, while the thoughtful, quiet one is overlooked. The stage rewards performance, not substance. Consider how job interviews work. Candidates who sell themselves with confidence often get hired, even if they exaggerate. Humble but competent candidates can be dismissed as unremarkable. The system is built to reward those who play the game, not necessarily those who would excel at the job. This is Machiavelli's world, alive and well in the 21st century. Leadership does not automatically reward wisdom. More often, it rewards those who master appearances, the narcissists who radiate confidence, the liars who craft seductive stories, and the fools who shout simple answers with absolute certainty. The question then becomes, are we doomed to be ruled by narcissists, liars, and fools forever? Or can we build systems that favor the truly wise and competent? Machiavelli might have shrugged and said no, the game of power is eternal. But history gives us some hope. There have been leaders who combined the appearance of strength with genuine wisdom. Leaders who understood the theater of power, yet used it in service of their people rather than their egos.
The key is not to eliminate appearances, but to balance them with accountability. Systems that reward transparency, encourage truth, and check overconfidence can reduce the damage. Education that teaches people to question charisma and look beyond surface appearances makes societies harder to deceive. But none of this is easy, because appearances are seductive, lies are comforting, bold fools inspire hope when reality feels uncertain. Resisting them requires not just better systems, but more disciplined citizens. Perhaps the real responsibility falls on us, not just on leaders, but on followers. Do we reward the narcissist with our admiration? Do we share the liar's words without checking them? Do we elect the fool because his answers make us feel safe? Breaking the cycle begins with us, refusing to reward the performance of leadership over its substance. So let me leave you with this. Leadership does not always reward wisdom. More often, it rewards those who master appearances, the narcissists who radiate confidence, the liars who craft seductive stories, and the fools who shout simple answers with absolute certainty. Machiavelli saw this clearly 5 centuries ago, and in many ways we are still living in his world. But the real question is not only about them, it is about us. What kind of leaders do we choose to follow? Do we fall for the mask, or do we look beneath it? Do we demand truth even when it hurts, or do we reward comforting illusions? Power is a mirror. It reflects not just the ambitions of those who seek it, but the desires of those who grant it. If narcissists, liars, and fools rise again and again, it may be because we, the followers, allow them to so. So next time you see a leader who seems too confident, too certain, too perfect, pause and ask, is this wisdom or just the performance of it? And what role do I play in rewarding the mask instead of the mind behind it? If this reflection gave you something to think about, I invite you to continue the conversation. Like this video, share your insights in the comments, and subscribe for more explorations into philosophy, psychology, and the hidden forces shaping our world.